Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Tashana. Let's get into this. Hi guys. I hope all is well. Okay, so every now and again I get a download from the Astros and God confirms it, and it's like a freaking weird topic, right? Like, for real, the creator be having me looking crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I be looking real crazy out here sometimes. Now, the other day, maybe yesterday, I had mentioned that we would discuss aluminum foil today, and actually about a week ago the creator was like aluminum foil, and I thought I was like just bugging out, right? And no, it's not because it's Sunday and we're about to eat some good food. That's not why, right? And if you've been following, then you know that we've been, going through this desperate attempt to get back to the periodic table. Of course, you don't have to follow or wait for me to do your own studying, right? But I was just sitting there like, okay, aluminum foil, and this, remind you, was like last week. And then I'm like, what am I supposed to be looking for? Like, aluminum, right? We're not gonna go into aluminum itself, not yet, because I did want to cover the periodic table in a particular order. But then I got like my way of how I get my communication, and the creator showed me a TV where aluminum foil was being used as an antenna. So I'm like, okay, now this is starting to make more sense. So I started doing a little research, and obviously if you just put aluminum foil in, you'll get some basic information about aluminum. And I didn't really do a thorough research because I was still trying to figure out, like, why is this being connected to the ethers and spirituality? And then it hit me like, okay, the antenna. And then I started thinking about space, and then radiation, right? So when you think about like space shuttles, right, they have this thing that looks like foil, and it's covering the ship or whatever you want to call it. It's actually mylar. It's not foil, right? Like what we know as aluminum foil. Now, you may already know this. Obviously, a lot of people used to use aluminum foil as a receptor of some sort, right? Or an antenna. But then when you start looking at the purpose of foil itself, in the ethers, it starts to make a little more sense. Now, so they have this thing called mylar. It reflects infrared and is for multi-layer insulation, right? So what that means is it keeps necessary heat in and puts out necessary heat and radiation. Now, they use gold, right, instead of silver, because gold is not reactive, and it also has dimensional stability, right? This is crazy. Now, the reason that they do this is because of the external environment. It protects against unfiltered sunlight. So when I start reading that, I'm like, okay, now this is starting to make sense. I'm not saying that the people who need radiation or anything like that can use aluminum foil, but maybe you can. I'm not a doctor. Don't consult with me, right, about health concerns. But I think if we do a little research, we'll find out that foil has a lot of health benefits. Now, obviously, if you are overexposed, there are toxins that are related. You become nauseous. Some people can catch seizures. and they just pass out, right? But when you are using it for the purposes of blocking out radiation, it makes sense. A lot of people think that both sides are like contaminated, but the glossy and the matte side are okay as far as food. There are some types of foil that can go into the microwave, which it's usually like softer, and it's usually like in the form of a container. Now aluminum foil is an alloy, which is basically a mixture of metals, right? You mix metals to make alloy. And this is where it started getting interesting, because I started looking at the different types of aluminum foil, and then a lot of things start coming up about how people believe that tin and aluminum foil is the same and it's slightly different. So tin foil is leaf tin mixed with lead. Aluminum foil is a combination of anywhere from 92 to 99% aluminum, and then the remainder is a balanced or fixed a part of iron and silicone. So there again comes those metals, right? So this is what makes it an alloy, because the iron is thrown in there and then they add in the silicone. So when I started thinking, when I looked at the research was basically saying that aluminum had become the preferred version over tin and steel because it's cheaper, it's lighter, and it's recyclable, right? It's cheaper to make and it's more effective and efficient. And then even when I started considering like the different types of foil that can go in the microwave, because actually one of my friends who's a cook showed me that sometimes you can put aluminum foil inside of the microwave. Like, I seen it with my own two eyes. I'm like, oh, this is about to catch on fire, but actually it didn't. And the reason why is because the smooth container is usually tin, and it's smoother, right? Ridges and jagged edges or wrinkles inside of foil is what causes the radiation and the heat to start spiraling and moving out of control, and this is what causes the fire. So usually if you have like a flat, smoother sheet that's a little softer, it won't catch fire. And this is why a spoon can go in the microwave but a fork cannot, okay? Because the smoothness allows that flat surface allows the radiation to be subtle, as to the fork having all those different shapes and sizes going on. It causes chaos, right? So I was just trying to figure out, like, why would God be having me go through all of this, right? And then I started looking at dimensional stability, okay? Unfiltered sunlight. So these are things that obviously relate to us going into different dimensions, and just really learning how to survive, because a lot of different things from Earth will corrode once they go into a certain atmosphere, right? Whether it be because of the temperature. I mean, you have extreme cold or intense heat, right? So these are usually the external environments that don't allow too many things to thrive unless the state of that thing changes in that atmosphere. Like water turning from liquid to an ice, to a solid, etc., etc. Now, when I started to sit there and I'm like, okay, why are we talking about foil? And then God's like, it blocks out radiation. So I just wanted to make sure we have a good understanding of what's going on in the ethers, and how to protect ourselves, because there is a lot of different things going on, and to be quite honest with you, since the 70s, the amount of solar radiation emitted by the sun increased like at 0.5% per decade. So from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s, 10s, and 20s, the 50-year difference, we've had an influx in the solar radiation. And with everything going around with Anubis and all these different greenhouse gases being produced that are by us, right? Not by the universe. This is not natural. Excuse me. The radiation is being increased, not the temperature of the sun, not the sun's rays themselves, but what's happening is the heat can't escape the atmosphere of the earth, and the energy is, being increased, right? So this is the main issue. So now it makes sense why the creator would have us studying something or looking into things that might be able to protect us from what's going on in the astral realms. Obviously, people who work in this field, they have a bit more understanding and just access to information that will enlighten them and allot them a particular amount of time and resources that's not necessarily accessible to the public, right? Or a regular common person. Now, this is all, tied in with the climate changes and, global warming, as we just stated. But what's going on is the radiation is increased to a point where we have so many different things that are affecting us on a spiritual level that we're not aware of, and I'm not going to get into that, but whatever, right? Now these UV rays can be expected to increase a little bit more. So I just wanted to know, like, other than the aluminum foil, what other ways can we block out the radiation? So I believe the message here is to rack up on aluminum foil. Like these type of topics where the creator is like, yeah, this is what I want you to talk about, and I'm not really understanding. I'm just looking into it from a surface level, and then I will start phasing through, and then it'll start clicking as I'm discussing it on the podcast, because even sometimes during the research, I'm like, okay, what? But we did have this really, really huge solar flare earlier this year. Well, July, earlier this summer, they found an active sunspot, and it's supposed to be the most powerful flare, right? Well, it was placed in the most powerful class, which is an X class solar flare, right? So what does this mean? I guess this would probably explain why they've been attempting to block out the sun and why all the weather manipulation is going on. But that is not my area, so I'm going to stay away from that until the creator tells me that I need to step over there. All right. But yeah, I think that's just about it. Rock up on some aluminum foil and start learning about aluminum foil. This, I don't assume, was supposed to be a conversation about aluminum itself, because I really do believe that he just said focus on the aluminum foil. So I'm thinking it's time to start getting back to the periodic table. All right, but I'm gonna end it here. I do love y'all. I hope y'all are drinking your water, eating your fruit, eating your vegetables, and sipping on your own tea. Why? Because it's free. And yes, child, getting your rest, right? And getting prepared for the fall. Because yes, honey, them kids went back to school. Alright. But yeah, I'm gonna see y'all. Go rack up on some aluminum for you, y'all. I don't know what this is about, but y'all ain't gotta listen to me. Love y'all. Peace.